What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about how you can contact and negotiate with suppliers properly, whether you're using Alibaba or some other website. These are the tactics that I'm going to be using and have used in the past that have worked very well for me and have worked for many of my students. And I'm going to be going over a free template, which you can download in the description. So if you see me using that in this video, it's right in the description. You can download it. So when it comes to negotiating with suppliers, a lot of people don't realize that almost every single aspect is negotiable when it comes to actually ordering a product and negotiating. So you can negotiate almost anything. You can negotiate the price, you can negotiate the order quantity, you can negotiate shipping terms, you can negotiate payment terms, and the list just really goes on and on. And a good way, let's start with price. So how can you negotiate the actual price? Well, let's go over to Alibaba. So Alibaba right here, I searched in camping hammock, and usually suppliers have a good margin on these that they can move. And one of the tactics I like to use, or not tactics, but one of the strategies I like to use for trying to figure out, okay, what's a fair price? Because the supplier has to be happy, I have to be happy with the price, and we both have to make some money. But what is a fair price and how low can you get that? So for these, you're going to see that there's a range depending on how many pieces you order. So for example, this minimum order, or MOQ, is 100 pieces, and it ranges from $8 per one camping hammock to $3.90. And you can see the ranges here, $3.80 to $4.30 a piece, $3.80, $4.30, same kind of things. Now, if I were to click on this one and say, okay, normally they'll have a kind of drop down, say this much per piece, depending on how much you order. So if I were to order 500 pieces, maybe it would be $5. Now, if I go over to a different one, it'll probably say, okay, so if you're ordering 10 to 1,000 pieces, they charge you $4.30, and you can see they go all the way down to $3.80 over here. So I know on a single piece, they're still going to be making money at $3.80. So I should be able to negotiate this. Now, will you be able to get $3.80? Probably not. That's for a lot of pieces. Should you be able to get $4? Yes, 100%. And you can compare this with other things, but normally it will depend on the product and whatnot, but suppliers can normally move 10 to 30% on whatever price they have displayed for their lowest order quantity. So here's another example, 10 to 500, you're paying $5.80, 1,000 or more pieces, you're paying $4.35. So what would be reasonable? Let's say I wanted to order 300 units here. What would be a price I think I could get for the per unit cost? Well, I think I could get around $5. That is something that should be pretty easily negotiable. You can use different strategies to do this, which I'll talk about in one second. But price, that is normally how I'll go off of it, see what they're charging for their highest amount and know they're still making money there. And I'll move from there. So how do you go about in actually contacting them? So here's this template I'm using. Again, this is in the description if you guys want to download this. So I'm going to go over this, and then I'm going to talk about the actual negotiation strategies. So this is just my initial contact template to them. Say, dear supplier. So anything in orange you would fill in. This is pretty much fill in the blank. So dear, whatever supplier company name is. So for example, if we're using this one, I'd say dear, whatever this company is. Or if you scroll to the bottom, right here, you'll see a contact. You can send the message here, and we know this is Kelvin's son. So I'd say Kelvin. So I'd say, dear Kelvin, my name is Tanner, and I'm the owner of blank business. We specialize in, so this is whatever niche you are. So this is going to be camping products or outdoor gear, and are currently looking to add a new product to our existing line of products. And I accidentally put a period here. Let's change that. So we specialize in blank products and are currently looking to add a new product to our existing line. We are interested in and this is where you would copy and paste the link to this, or just the actual title here. I like to send the title and then the link and say anything that is relevant. So if it's green that I want, or red or blue, whatever it is, I send the link to that. And it says our existing line of products, blah, blah, blah. Could you please provide me with the following information? Now, this is the information you're going to want to ask for. You're going to want to ask, what is the price at the following quantities? Now, even if you know how many units you want to order, you still want to ask this because this will help in future negotiations. If I just ask, hey, what's your price for 250 units? That's all I want. They might not respond as quick. They might give me a higher price, But if I'm asking 250, 500, and 1,000, that shows I might be interested in ordering a higher quantity, which they make more money that way. So if I order that higher quantity, that's going to be something that's going to benefit them as well. So that's something we kind of want to have them believe that, okay, we will make big orders in the future. We're serious about this. We're not just trying to order a couple units. And then we ask, can you provide custom packaging? And then you'd put any packaging specifications or examples of packaging that you want. And if you don't want to do custom packaging for some reason, I highly recommend it, but you can ask them if they'll put your logo or whatever you need on the product. And if so, what is the cost if that's not already included? And we say, what is the standard production time for each of the following? So how long does it take to make? And a lot of times they'll have it on their listing. Let's see, customized packaging. So they do offer customized packaging, graphics and logo, we can see there. And what is the time? So lead time for 100 to 500, we can see it's 7 days, 5 days for less, and more than 500 is to be negotiated. So we can see that, but it's still good to ask because sometimes it is different than the listing. Then you ask them what type of shipping do they offer, and you can choose whatever type of shipping you want. Normally, this next question, what is the cost of DDP air shipping to? Then you put whatever zip code and say in the United States or wherever you're trying to send it. And this is just how you're going to get a estimate for what shipping would actually be. A lot of times the supplier has more expensive shipping, so you're going to want to use an outside service or freight forwarder, but it's good to ask and see if that can be negotiated as well. And then at the bottom, it just says, attention, please respond to this message via email or WhatsApp or however you want them to contact you. WhatsApp's very popular. Email also is fine. And then just fill in your information. It says, I look forward to hearing back from you. And then just put your name, your title, and your business name. So that is the actual template. Now I want to talk about actual negotiation strategies. So knowing what strategy you want to use is very important before you send this contact template to people, or knowing how to frame this. So one of the first tactics I like to use that I've had pretty good success with is called the employee tactic. Now, what this is you're pretending to be an employee for your company or whatever it's under. You're pretending to be a purchasing manager or a lower kind of product manager or just purchasing agent, whatever you want to call it, whatever title, you can Google whatever you want. You're pretending to be an employee and pretending like you're the middleman and you don't have the power to make decisions. So if I were using this, let's say I contact them, they say, here's the prices. And I'd say, thank you. My boss says this is the highest of a price we can go. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. And if they say, oh, I can't do that, be like, you can say, well, my boss won't let me go any lower. Is there any way to do this? He wants to work with you, but we just can't at that price. I really want to work with you. And you can frame it that way, that you like contacting them. You like the communication you've had so far and you want to work with them, but your boss won't let you because of the price. That is a tactic that can work pretty well and can be used. But again, you have to set that up. When you put like title here, you can put purchasing manager. You can put whatever it is, but it's an employee. It's not CEO. So that has to be framed at the start of the contact in the negotiation. Another tactic that I've had some success with, this isn't one I've used a ton, but I've seen other people use it, especially when starting with lower budgets, is saying that you're going to make a larger order in the future. And again, you can combine this with the employee thing as well. If MOQ is something you need to negotiate, MOQ is usually a little bit tougher to negotiate, but it can be done. Now, if you're trying to negotiate to buy like 50 units and their MOQ is 500, it's not going to happen. But if you're trying to get 200, 300 units and their MOQ is 500, it can happen and you can make it happen. So the tactic is saying you need a lower MOQ because you're going to be placing a bigger order in the future, but this is your first test order. You have kind of a product launch in place, everything's set up. You have a lot of money to spend, but your boss, if you want to frame it that way, needs to test this first, and then he wants to move in with the big order and go from there. And framing that with the bigger order and doing it, asking for the multiple quantities in the contact template off the start, that's partly why that is important, and just looking professional and seeing the different options and prices. And the last tactic I'm going to talk about is just saying you have a better price elsewhere. Now, this is something almost everyone uses, but if you frame it correctly and say it correctly, it can be beneficial. And this is still something I use the most. And it's just saying you have a better price elsewhere. And again, this can be combined with the employee tactic. You can say, hey, I really like working with you. Your communication's the best so far, but my boss won't let me do this order because we have a better price over here. Can you just match that price or beat it? And my boss will then choose to go with your company for our order. And you can even frame this. You can pretty much combine all these. And if you're asking for that, say we're going to do a larger order in the future too, blah, blah, blah. So combining those three, the employee tactic, the MOQ with the bigger order in the future, and the better price elsewhere, you can negotiate anything. It can be your price, the MOQ, the shipping, the payment terms. It can be the shipping. It can be the lead time. You can negotiate literally anything. Now, when doing this, don't expect too much, but they should be able to move at least 10% on a price. Will depend. Obviously, the more expensive an item, the more they can move. So it will just depend. But those are the negotiation strategies I've used and had the best success with on Amazon, and just getting the lowest price from suppliers on Alibaba. So again, the link to this template will be in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.